On February 29th, leap day of 2012, I went for a routine mammogram. I was just under 55 years old. I understood right away during the mammogram that something wasn't going right. They said they needed a clearer picture and repeated it. Then the radiologist said he thought he needed an ultrasound to get a better picture. Then he called me into his office and told me that chances were what he was looking at was going to be breast cancer. Of course, you go through the days of afterwards of unbelieving and in denial and thinking, no, he just overread that and it was going to be fine. Everything was fine. I didn't know anybody with breast cancer. There's none in my family. That can't be something I have. So they ordered a biopsy, and it was further unsettling because they took a great many biopsies, and they also took some out of the lymph nodes in my armpit. So I still had that sinking feeling that this isn't going well. A couple of weeks later, you have to wait again. So a couple of weeks, went to see my doctor, and she said, yes, you do have breast cancer, but it's not a death sentence. We know all kinds of treatments now, and lots of people survive breast cancer. It's going to be tough for the next year or so, but you're going to be okay. She scheduled surgery right away, went to see the surgeon, and I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a simple little lumpectomy. I can get through this. And he said, nope, we're going to do radical modified mastectomy right off the bat. You have lobular breast cancer, which means that it forms in sheets and masses instead of lumps. You never do feel a lump. So even though I couldn't feel anything, there was quite a large mass. He said it was up to me if I had a single mastectomy or if I wanted them both done. I said, do them both. I don't want any reconstruction. I want as little surgery as possible. Let's just get this over with. At the same time, he said he would take some lymph nodes for sure. They usually take the axillary and the sentinel node and test them. But he said if he was a little bit suspicious, he would be taking more lymph nodes. So after the surgery, as I was recovering, they do the pathology on the tumors that they took, and they did find another tumor in the other breast as well, one that hadn't even showed up on the mammogram. So I was really glad I'd had them both done. He wound up removing 38 lymph nodes, and 37 of them tested positive for cancer. So at that point, they warned me that chances were it had already spread and was going to be referred to as metastatic or stage 4. So by the time I saw an oncologist a few weeks later, because of course you wait for that appointment too, I was a little bit prepared for the fact that it may be a lot more serious than what I had been expecting for the last couple of months. And that's the way it did turn out. She ordered a CAT scan, a CT scan of my torso area, and a bone scan. The bone scan came back clear, which is unusual, but does happen. And the CAT scan came back saying that I had innumerable bone metastases in my spine. They're also referred to as lesions or tumors. There's two different types of bone metastases. There's ones that build bone up on top of bone. Those are referred to as osteoblastic and are only about 10 to 15% of bone tumors. The other type are osteolytic, and they eat away at the bone. Mine are all osteoblastic. I have lobular breast cancer, which again is about 15% of most breast cancers. The more common one is ductal. So a couple of the pathologies in my cancer are a little bit more unusual, but they do hormone testing also on breast tumors, and they check for the 3 basic hormones: estrogen, progesterone, and HER. If you have any of those hormones active in your tumors, it gives them more options for treatment because they can start by cutting off what is feeding the tumors. Mine are estrogen and progesterone positive and HER negative, which is the most common. So that meant the very first line of treatment for me was going to be a hormone blocker or an aromatase inhibitor, it's also called, or just an anti-hormonal is the common term. So I have been on that that basic line of treatment since June of 2012. It'll be almost 5 years now. My bone mets have stabilized. They haven't gone away, but they haven't grown any and they haven't showed up in any new areas. None of my organs have been involved to this point. So, although I'm on a daily medication, I go for scans usually every 6 months to a year. I travel a couple hours to see my oncologist every 3 months for sure. I go into our local hospital and have a bone strengthening infusion every 3 months that helps keep my bones from breaking. But other than that, I lead a reasonably normal life. There are side effects from the anti-hormonals. They make you really tired. They kind of age you, make your joints ache. But for the most part, I can get through my days reasonably actively and productively. And I do lead like I said, a somewhat normal life. It never completely goes away. I am always aware of the fact that any new ache or pain can mean it's starting to move, that my current treatment is failing, and it will eventually fail. But at this point, I take very good care of myself. I walk a lot, I eat really well, and I have a fairly normal life.